Now for the gorge in colour. This is another painting where it's advisable to use two palettes. Keep your colours separated. Paint your mountains first and then the foreground. Don't have too much white in the foreground. Have it nice and dark and good highlights on everything. And then you'll get a separation from the background to the foreground, and this will give your painting a three-dimensional look. I advise you to paint this one on a little board, and maybe you'll paint a few of them, because the arrangement is a little bit difficult to put the tree in there without destroying your mountains, so you might want to have a few goes at this one. This time I'm working with a piece of canvas. This is a piece of prepared artist canvas. They call it prepared canvas because it's prepared ready to accept the paint. It has a lacquer on this side. I've stuck it down with masking tape, stick it down, and we'll paint out to here. There is a convenient thing about this, and that is because when you're painting the sky, you can simply brush over the masking tape and finish the edge of your painting off neatly and then take the masking tape off. Now over here on my palette I have white, and for the sky I have phthalo blue, and for the mountains I have ultramarine blue and crimson, and just there I have a little bit of raw sienna, and I'll put that in the bottom of the sky. So this time we're working with two palettes, and this is our background palette. Now I'll quickly undercoat the sky, and I can put it on with a painting knife. I put a lot of paint on there with a painting knife. Bring it down, across, finish off and up. That's probably enough. There. And with my flat hog bristle brush, crisscross, crisscross, and spread the undercoat across the top of the sky. Now, that's about the third of the top of the board I've painted there with white paint, and coming into a bit of a valley in the middle here. Like that. That's about what we want. We'll drop it well down into there and spread it out. Now we'll pick up a little bit of the phthalo blue, crisscross, crisscross into the middle, pick up a bit more. I picked up a lot that time, and crisscross, crisscross. I'll wear my brush out a little bit in the corner here first before I move towards the middle. That's a little bit too much blue. I didn't really want this sky to be that dark, so what I'll do, I'll bring it across, bring it down, take it out like that, and a light sky at the bottom, and put a bit more white in the bottom there. And I'll keep blending it until I get the blue I want. That's a little bit of a soft blue there. And because I've gone too dark with my sky, I'll put a few puffy clouds up there that'll darken it a little bit. Round and round. A few puffy clouds like that, just on the edge of your brush. Let the clouds come off and brush them across. Well, that's enough. Now, this is not a painting of clouds, so we won't do too much work with the clouds, but we will try and get that very pale sky. There it is. Working up into a rather blue sky up here. And a little bit of the raw sienna in the bottom. I'll put it below the sky and work it up into the sky like this. And then across. Okay. And to get the sky back a little bit further, let's just brush it over with a big dry brush. And we'll get a bit of movement in the sky, and that'll take it back a little bit further again. Take it back. Now I'll clean my brush well. I've picked up ultramarine blue. Let's just put it there to start with. That's the colour we're using. We want a very pale value of ultramarine blue with a mountain coming in here. That's too dark. Scrub it in, much too dark. There. Very, very pale. That's it. That's the pale ultramarine blue. And these are very rugged mountains. This is a little bit like the Gross Valley, Gross Wild area. The Gross there. Very, very dark. Very, very pale. And coming in here. Very pale up in that direction. I need a little bit more blue there, so rub this blue in and blend it in. Don't worry about the edge of your mountains being very finished. They can be lost edges rather than what they call found edges and lost edges. These are very lost edges, you can't quite see them. And now a little bit more blue. We'll come in with the next mountain, has a little bit darker. A little bit darker like this, and it disappears up here somewhere. And it has a bit of shape in it, a little bit of rough on the top, and blended in at the bottom, because this area here will be all different by the time we finish. This is all different, so just clean your brush on that area. Across here like that, that's slightly different, that mountain. And bring the white in from underneath your mountain and brush it up slowly till you get the tone. And when you get the tone you want, move it up into the mountain. There we are. Now that one can go lighter even. Let's go lighter. Take it a bit lighter like that. And lighter underneath. And bring that tone up into the mountain. Now. And again, come down through here. Sharp mountain there. Very sharp mountains in this area. A little bit of white on that because it's a little bit too dark. I'm watching the tip of the brush. Don't worry about what's happening here. Just watch what's going on the tip of your brush, and you can get a rugged look, but not white. Don't let that white stay there. Have it pale. It must be darker than the one behind it. Come up here and then disappear like that. There we go. And of course the white again, come up into it. Ooh, I've spoilt mine there. That's okay. That'll do. And again. We'll come from right up here. That's a mountain there. And this one's even rougher because it's closer. You can almost see the shape of the trees on that one there. And scrubbing in until you get the tone you want. Now here I'm picking up the littlest bit of crimson, not too much, and we can add that in because as it comes towards you, the reds will come out of the colours. You don't see red in the distance. It becomes crimson and then it disappears into the blues and purples. But when it comes near you, it'll be crimson and then red. But at this point, there's only just a little bit of crimson in that mountain. That's the pretty colour we want. And again, bring the white up in from underneath and give us a little bit of a misty look at the bottom of the mountain. On this side, we do the same thing. Drop in about there. Ooh, we can't go under the mountain, it's not a cave. It's about like that. So we do have to keep it convex, not concave. There, I've covered up some of that sky. Well, that's good, I didn't like that sky. And a little bit of crimson that goes into there. A bit more of the ultramarine blue and there's crimson on it there. And then the white coming in from underneath, and that should quickly give me the tones I want of that purpley blue, and we want a rough edge, so keep it rough like that. There. And here, more blue. I'll fill it in with blue because that's the base colour. And you notice I mix my colours on my painting. Not once on this painting if I moved over to the palette to mix the colours. These colours are all mixed on the painting. I know that's going to turn purple, so I'll add a bit of white to it, and that'll come out there and be a purpley, mottly mountain look. Still a bit dark up in this area here. Let's get that down a little bit. So it's not quite so dark. There we are. So I've mixed the colours on the painting, which makes it very quick. And mottly. So this is a mountain. It's not far away. And because we've got lots of colours mixed together there, they're not mixed completely, I think. So there we can get a bit of shape happening in here with this. And that'll look a bit like foliage on there. Down, down, down. Now, raw cyan and white, I'll put it here first, we can have a little bit of shape on this mountain. Not much, just a little bit. I'll bring it into the corner there, clean in the corner, and put another bit of raw sienna there, and another bit of white so you can see what I'm doing. Mix it together, and this will give us just a little bit of something on the mountain. Now that's too much. It's a bit too much, so let's brush it in until it disappears. So it's very subtle there, you just see it, only just see it, but it's there. It's a bit of colour on that mountain, and this will look a bit like cliffs if you bring it in this area. You notice I'm using this side of the brush, and the lighter colours are on the tip of the brush, so if I was to push it on like that, I would get a light line on the outside, which can be handy. So I work like that all the time, and always keep the light into the picture. So that's given me a little bit of foliage look on that mountain, so it's not just a blue mountain, it has a little bit of foliage on it. Not much, just a little bit. There. And then I put a bit more there again, and a little bit of white with it. And when I dabble that into there, I'll get a foliage look in here. Because this is a little bit closer now, I'll come closer with a little bit more foliage on here. That's it. You don't want to see any more than that. Clean my brush there, and that paint will dry. If you're working in oils, you'll need to scrape it off like that. Back to along this ridge here, just on top, you can put a few dabs of raw sienna with a little bit of white in it. But make sure there's only just a little bit now. Don't go too much trouble to detail this because we don't need detail in this area. That's it. There. Now with just pure ultramarine blue, I'll brush it across here and scrub it up. This is a lot closer here. I rub the crimson in from underneath, bring it up into there, and that'll give us a very dark colour. Now when I go with a little bit of raw sienna to that, it'll turn it from a purple into a grey. You see that's a grey rather than a purple now. And a bit more. Now we're not going to see a lot of this, just a little bit. And then with the raw sienna and white, I'll mix it in with the blue. And that'll give us a very dull grey-green colour. You see that colour there? That's about the colour we want. So clean my brush a bit and then pick it up with the brush. You can use a round brush for this, but I'm using a flat brush. And on this hill here, we can have a rather prominent trees that you can just see, like this. These are gum trees. So that's about the shape of gum trees in the distance. A bit like that. Now you see now that we've got red in here, and it goes away as we go away from us. That's what we want. Let's have a flat area. Load the brush again and bring in some more trees. There, they're little trees in the distance. And because this area is right in the middle of the picture, let's have a few lighter ones here to attract your eye into the middle of the picture. We may not see this later, but we'll put it in there. There, a few lighter trees. Now we're ready for the foreground. I'll remove that palette. And the new colours are white again, burnt umber, bright red, that could be cadmium red, there's cerulean blue, there's warm yellow, Australian sienna, and over here I have a green, that could be viridian green, oh and I forgot an important one, burnt sienna. So let's start by picking up plenty of burnt umber and taking it across, and we'll put it right across the bottom of the board. That can be the base colour for here. That's burnt umber. If you're working in oils, do exactly what I'm doing here. Pick up burnt umber again, and this time we'll sculpture some shapes in. We need a bit there. That could be a rock there. And these are all sandstone type rocks here, here, and a rock here. We'll put a bit of a bush there, I'd say, and have a flat area there. And let's have a rock protruding out into there and up to there. Okay, let's give us a rock surface. Now with the burnt sienna and white, this forms very pretty colours for rock faces. A little tiny bit of red could go in there. A little bit of blue, that's a cerulean blue, and I think I'll put a little bit more white and pick it up with the edge of the knife, like that. All these colours are mottled. Then on our painting, with all the paint loaded there, with plenty of paint, Let's find our most prominent rock because it's going to come off nice and bright for the first go. Put it on with the edge like that. You see, I have this edge touching first, and then just like that, like you're putting a bit of butter on bread. There. Oh, that one didn't have to cross that one, but it did. There. There. Let's go this way now. There. And I'll unload my knife there. Then it's important, clean your knife. I've reloaded it. There. 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 Across here. And that's it. Unload the knife. You notice how the knife didn't unload because it was dirty. You must clean and reload your knife each time. Again we load the knife. This time the trees can be pretty colours. Let's go for a white. We'll put it there. A bit of blue in there. A bit of Australian sienna in there. I've got a lot of paint here. You don't need this much. And then clean the knife. Pick your brown up on this side of the knife. That's the burnt umber. And your pretty colours all on the other side of the knife. So you have the two colours on the knife at once. Now where to put the tree? The tree needs to cross here, but not on that intersection. About up here. So it disappears out of our picture. And just squash him on. Don't curve him too much, just curve him a bit into the picture like that. Clean your knife and reload it. We can have another one. Let's have one with a bit of character. It can come out here like that, weave around a little bit, and then bring it straight across the rocks and join it into that one there. I believe this one could be a bit bigger, and I've added a little bit of red to my brown here, to burnt umber, and if the red comes out it'll contrast greatly with the background there. Let's give us a good contrast. Clean my knife. I've loaded my knife the same way again. If you want to put a log on this side, make sure you load your knife with the paint on the other side, the dark on one side, light on the other, so the white comes off on the top of the log. Here we have the light coming off on the inside. If there's something this way, you need the light on the top. I've loaded my knife like this, so let's put this one, not on there, in between. I don't want to go through, oh, I'll put a mark there. So we're going to have it something like that. Let's have it come up there and come down here. Like that. Now I'm disappointed that they're exactly parallel. That's not what I intended. So now we take a little round soft brush, twiddle it in the brown and a bit of white on it too. We've got two colours on it, and here we can correct our painting and twiddle in our branches. Make sure everything comes in like this. There's two browns and a white on here now. This one's a funny looking branch. It can come up there. And by bringing it in at funny shapes, I can correct what looks like parallel branches. There, white and colour. Twiddle your brush, twiddle your brush. There we are. And up here some more. Branches are jagged. You see, they're rather jagged. And they're everywhere. That one goes up and comes back into the picture, just what we want. And another one here doing the same, into the picture. And of course we pick up a bit of paint. We can have bits hanging off the trees. Everywhere. And clean your brush here. And we can put some more branches in later. Right now, let's go over here to the palette. Oh, my yellow paint getting away. And we'll have a green. Just mix a bit of green, a little bit of white in there too. And don't mix them completely, like that. And then we'll bring this yellow in and use that. So we have all these different colours there. See, a little bit of everything. Now the blue and the red, mix them together, and that'll give us our background colour for the foliage. I'll add that green in there too, and that'll give us a colour almost black. Don't mix them completely either. Now with our big round hog bristle brush, get it saturated in the dark paint. It's nice and dark there. And then pick up, on one side, pick up plenty of foliage colour, like that. And we need to start somewhere, so let's start right there. Then we'll dab a little bit of gum leaf look onto these trees. Very delicate today, very delicate. I've loaded the tip of my brush again and it should go darker now. There. So that's our gum tree leaves hanging into the picture. I've stopped up here on the masking tape. There. A bit here. I like where that mountain joins, so we'll leave that. And if you like this down look, you can put that in if you wish. Just touch the leaf like that and it gives you that hanging look, which looks good on the gum tree sometimes. Again, there's a dark bit of sky there. I wish my sky wasn't so dark, and I'll cover it with this. Maybe a dab just over there. And in the far corner, let's have a bit that goes over the top of my tree. I'm working wet on wet. Yours might be dry, or you might be working wet on wet the same as I am. I think that bit could be a bit brighter just there. It cuts across the corner, and maybe I can knock it some more dark out of the sky. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Now my masking tape is right there, so the picture will finish there. Clean my brush, reshape it. My shape's a chisel point, you see. The round brush has gone into a chisel point. And I've picked up dark and light again. Maybe a little bit dropping over here. And somewhere here. A bit darker would be nice there. There. Like that. Now I'll load my brush. For this corner here, we can have some bush here. Covering that area there, that brings it forward, and I'll cover in this corner and let the tree come out from behind the bush. That's better. In the other corner also. Let's have a bit of something there. Maybe just a bit of grass there. I can use the fan brush for this, or this old brush might do it. There. And a little bit of colour there. Oh, that went green, doesn't matter. Clean my brush here. Bit of colour here and there. Along the bottom, and something that looks like flowers. There's so many beautiful flowers up in those mountains. Here and there. A dab of white on the tip of the yellow will probably bring it up nice for us. There we are. That's a few little flowers. Now they must be, don't use any of the ultramarine blue in the foreground. It must be these colours. Must be these warmer colours in the foreground and the cooler colours in the background. So with a little round brush now we can twiddle around and fix up our painting and detail any bits you think might need detailing. This needs a bit of a branch going there, and the whites look good on the branches too. Let's have a few whites coming in like that, and maybe something coming out to hold that up, like that. Now you can't see every branch, so if there's branches missing, it doesn't matter. Quite often in the bush you cannot see everything, and quite often you can't tell what things are until you're right on them. So don't detail anything to such an extent that you have to detail the whole picture. It's not necessary. Let's have a twig here or two. Now, you can do this with a knife or with a brush. We need a fine line along the top of these rocks. That will take them forward of the background. See here and here. Just a very fine line. You can put it on with a painting knife, or you can do it with this. I just put a bit more white on there and get a very fine line up around the edge of the rocks. And I'll unload my brush down here. It looks like bits of twigs laying. Just to break that up there. The unorganised, untidy look of the bush. So let's have a twig lay in here. Down. And with my little brush, I'm going to touch up a few yellow spots on these branches here, just to give it that yellow look. And while I'm doing that, I'm pulling them all down the same direction. So there, that gives it that little bit more floral look and brings it forward just that little bit more. There we are. Well, now we need to move the masking tape. Take it off. And I think you'll find this quite an easy painting. Try and get your white in the background, your very white in the background. You can have your very darks in the foreground, which gives you that three-dimensional look. Lean brush, I'm going to try and put a little bit of white back into my background. Oops. That's what I would have liked there. Pure white in the background. That'll do. A little bit of white.